The scale of justice or Benjamin Franklin technique is quite similar to how I handle sex. The benefits of romance appear on one side of the scale or column, while the drawbacks appear on the opposite side of the scale or sheet of paper. If the disadvantages outweigh the advantages, it's time to effectively ground your Air Force. However, if the benefits outweigh the drawbacks, it's time to launch your feminist rocket ship. However, this scale is based on the positives of intercourse vs the downsides of masculine behavior in a different way. This includes a man's wealth, muscle mass, and other factors. However, the negative column despises most male behavior. The downsides are when a man is socially inept or behaves in ways that the feminine collective considers socially unacceptable. It's largely an internal thing for males to decide to have sleep with a woman, but for women, it's half internal for the guy she's with, and the other half is her own unique exterior attributes. If she's overweight and unattractive, he'll have an advantage. The more she's messed up her personal life, the more favorable a man of shorter stature will view her nonetheless. Make no errors. Her negative features will no longer be attractive to men if she loses weight and undertakes plastic surgery, and she may be tempted to seek out a better man because her work in the sexual marketplace has grown. Women's scales differ slightly since any physical flaws are given to the man's positive side. At least, that's how it used to be before the BBW and electronic hookup culture, fat empowerment culture. Overweight and ugly women didn't get nearly as much attention as they do now. As a result, we're seeing more beautiful men with overweight women, and I don't recall the video, but someone mentioned that they were seeing more regular guys with big women and that they had video footage of it. As a result, women are now putting negatives such as being overweight to their own positive rather than negative column. I found myself physically avoiding a variety of ladies in my personal life. Sailor Spoon, I could have had some fun with her. I was sort of seeing at the start of the year if they had put up ship in other sections of my life. But I'd risk falling in love with her and catching an STD if I did that. The majority of MGTOWs are not anti-sex. However, we are cautious of falling in love, long-term relationships, and marriage. Unlike 50 or 60 years ago, you can have sexual relations with a woman without having to marry her. Women have it easier when it comes to intimacy. Strangely enough, Sailor Spoon informed me she didn't want to be in a relationship. When a woman tells you she doesn't want to be in a relationship with you but only wants to have vaginal intercourse with you and treats you like a utility and calls you every day, in essence, that is a relationship. She told me that we weren't seeing each other to begin with when I told her I didn't want to see her again. I believe that women are becoming more aware that guys do not want to swap commitment for pleasure. As a result, women trick men into making commitments, then tell them later that the relationship is over. As a result, MGTOWs must acknowledge the strength of their commitment. Don't make a physical or emotional commitment to a lady based on intimacy if you desire intercourse with them. That's probably one of the main tactics women use to turn you into utility. It's possible they can fool you into commitment without actually getting you to commit. I decided not to communicate with Sailor Spoon anymore because there were too many disadvantages. For the next few weeks, she kept calling until she got the message and stopped calling. I used to go my own way since the intercourse was not worth the emotional obstacles I had to overcome to have it. I would never have done something like that and would have simply hopped through those hoops for sleep. I believe that men who go their own way regard intercourse is a beautiful experience. However, if the price is our financial and emotional well-being, we must withdraw. However, most blue pill guys are unwilling to walk away and lack interpersonal justice skills. I know this because as a blue pill man, I had no way of knowing what I was doing. I had no means of measuring the physical and romantic pleasure I was having against the pain I was going through at the moment. If men were free to express their emotions, they would have more grievances against their spouses than against their governments. Males who realize that the sensuous advantages aren't worth the emotional hardship of a long-term relationship should scare governments more. Men cannot see the truth without intimacy and connection because the drug of sexuality numbs the emotional anguish for long enough. A man is exposed to his own raw emotions, objectives, and other goals he wishes to achieve in his life. Some guys are incapable of accepting this, so they numb themselves with video games and other types of amusement. It isn't always the case if you're a man who goes his own way and doesn't obtain physical pleasure on a regular basis. Your mind needs to go into overdrive when I'm lonely or blue. I can either do meaningless stuff to numb the ache or go out and create and use my mind as a substitute. The only thing I've realized is that if you choose to disregard your heart, you must instead focus on your mind, never stopping to think or act. However, when it comes to how MGTOWs deal with sexiness, it's usually something we disregard unless someone is playing games with us. In addition to the attraction, reason and rationality must govern your reproductive cravings. Otherwise, you will be nothing more than an out-of-control farm animal and heat. I like to express feelings other than arrogance because I have flaws. If you can't manage these from a man, you'll have a better chance of starting a relationship with a stone statue. Plus, I wouldn't have to touch one of your fat rolls instead. You'll never know my true work level or net worth because I refuse to be superficially evaluated for them, preferring instead to let you follow up on whatever they are. No, your success as an independent woman does not intimidate me. I also refuse to pay money to have anything lifted arbitrarily and painfully free objects that are really heavy and risk severe damage on a frequent basis. So your hole gets a little wetter because if I get hurt, go bankrupt for medical expenditures, or lose my job as a result, there won't be a pussy left alongside me to moisten anyway. Just because you have a female genitalia, I'm not going to endanger my life as a human meat shield. I'm not going to pretend to believe in your perilous religious fairy tales, and neither are we. I refuse to think that women don't want or enjoy intercourse in general. When you say you have no sexual history or are disease-free, I'm not going to believe you. I have a clean sexual history and test results to prove my health, and I want my partners to do the same. I'm not going to agree to an exclusive relationship in which only one person must remain loyal, and I'm not going to accept that you get drunk with a friend, make out, and then agree to return to his apartment and term it rape, no matter how bad you feel the next day. I'm not going to assume that if you went on vacation to Vegas or anywhere else, you weren't automatically prohibited from the pool. You didn't deserve to be given the benefit of the doubt. I'm not going to sign a contract with you because you demand that you not be bound to that commitment because you're a woman. But I'm not going to marry you or even have a common law relationship with you. Even if we get along well and live together for a while, I will not allow the situation to continue past the date we were legally married, and I will almost certainly never have children with you because regardless of your mothering abilities, I do not believe you have the knowledge of respect for life to keep your body from becoming a toxic waste dump for 9 months without my express consent. You will not be able to conceive one of my offspring. There will be serious negative consequences for you if you commit reproductive coercion against me regardless of what the courts think is justice, or make me do so believing when I say that I'm not going to deprive myself and spend my limited resources on you just to be despised by you and others. I won't make the mistake of attempting to sit your unquenchable urge to waste. Also, I'm not brave enough to call myself a sexist, but if you're so kind as to do so, I'll gladly accept it. I dislike a world where it's easier and more frequent to fuck 2 girls at once and record it than it is to make love and bond with one by being courteous. More significantly, I'm not going to marry someone whose ultimate male paradigm is Genghis Khan. And if you believe all of this is too much to ask for in a single sentence, remember that alpha male is more than enough for you. So get to work. That's essentially what Andy Warhol is saying. Hopefully, Randy's statement encapsulates the MGTOW attitude about intimacy. I just mentioned that I would appreciate the option of using a condom or not, and I stand by that stance. Some female sexual partners are so terrifying that you're frightened of going inside and shriveling up and dying while still alive. So the notion that a male should never use a condom isn't always correct. That concludes the video for today.